Alright guys, so we are in our new warehouse and we thought we would show you through. We are, what, 2 minutes around the corner, 1 minute around the corner from where we were?
Yep.
We've gone up from...
about 1,300 square metres total, now up to 2,700 at the new warehouse, so a little over double.
Differences, the biggest change for us is we're using the height in the warehouse now.
Yep, so we've got the pallet racking in here, so we're needing machinery and stuff to get up high and use all the space we have available to us. The way we load and unload, we're going to walk through that, but it's a little bit different as well. How we have planned it all out from an efficiency point of view, making sure we've got the right flow to the warehouse, safety things that we've had to consider. Yep. Let's give you a bit of a look through. All
right, so we're going to start with the styling side of everything that we have. Now, there are a couple of things I'm going to draw your attention to, and you'll see some bits as we walk through, but there's a couple of things that make us really excited and that we love the difference in how this warehouse is compared to the other warehouse, and I guess all of the knowledge that we've learned along the way. I know that there will be some things that are done differently and better, and I would love to know if you do them differently or better. So definitely make sure you tell us. Now, we are basically at the front of our warehouse. It is a glass room, so the glass goes all the way around. There are 2 exit doors here and then 2 sliding doors either side. Now, they work really, really well because we've got all the stylist cars who literally back up right next to the sliding door, and everything comes in and out from there. Now, we've shown these before. These are our stylist boxes right next to the front door. It makes complete sense for them to be right next to the front door because they go in and out every day. Also next to the front door are our loading bays. Now, this is different to what we did at the other warehouse. At the other warehouse, they were on the floor. Now, floor space is, I guess, valuable. And so why would we use all floor space when you have height above it that then you can utilise? So we have enough space for buckets, we've got chopping board and tray space, and then enough space above that to be able to do our lamps. Now this, when we're running 10 jobs in a day, this has been enough space for us to be able to make that happen. So that's why these ones look the way they do, and they work really, really well. So something else that we've got right next to the door, obviously going hand in hand with our Insta boxes, is something that I was very proud of coming up with. So these are IKEA drawers. Now, we used to have a big kitchenette space at the other warehouse, and it was good, except everything was in buckets and exposed. These are the bits out of the middle of those in-store boxes, which we don't use. And in all of these drawers are new everything so that we can keep the in-store boxes filled. The idea is that we don't run out, so that we've transitioned from having to go purchase it from Woolworths on the day and having to refill those spots to now having an inventory on hand that we keep filled. And I've enjoyed that transition because having to run to Woolies is actually painful, whilst necessary, especially when you're growing and not necessarily be able to have this much stock on hand. This has been, I love this little add-on that we've got, although they were a pain in the butt to build. You've seen all of this storage before. We had this at the other warehouse. Colour coordinated for all of our vases, lamps on top. We keep all of our lamps paired with the corresponding floor, the lampshade that they were purchased with. I'm not the biggest fan of separating them because you end up with beautiful big 65 centimetre lamps with the tiniest shades and the proportions are out. So I like keeping them together. So that is literally the whole top space in our warehouse is dedicated to, in our stylist area, dedicated to lamps and lampshades. Pairs of lamps on this side, single table lamps over there, and then we've got 1 rack over in the corner, which you may have seen for single bedroom lamps and desk lamps. Now, this guy here was a really great find, and I love this one. So this is on wheels. Oh, it's very full at the moment. This is on wheels, so the idea here is that the girls can move it around the warehouse. Obviously, it's significantly full, but when it's a little bit emptier, it makes it a lot easier. For floral storage, this has been very welcomed by the team, looking after the florals so much better than we had before when we were in buckets. This is, I don't even know what it's called, it's from Isalbi. It was not very expensive, and I really loved how much this has changed how the florals are stored in our warehouse. Love those because florals are not cheap. We have selection bays. We had selection bays before in our other warehouse. These ones all match, which do our OCD really, really well. So we're loving so 6 selection tables because we when we're busy, do 10 installs in a day. So obviously we need really good flow through. So obviously they do their selections, they'll bucket it up, and then it goes onto the loading bay, and then it frees up the space for someone else to be able to do selections. Again, you've seen this at our other warehouse, space storage for trinkets, for candles, for all jugs and all the little bits. We got these guys from Target for all of our napery and the tea towels. The idea is that they haven't been yet, but they need to get zip-locked onto the shelving here. They'll be up off the floor. So once that's done, that'll be great. Big buckets for all our fake fruit, and then teapots, alcohol storage, all the little bits and stuff. You can see we're really, really full coming out of Christmas, so it looks really, really good. Now we have half-height storage everywhere here for our outdoor greenery as well as our resins. We have a lot of resins. One of the biggest difference in this warehouse was the incorporation of actual bookshelves. This is going to look after our books so much better. It's pretty color coordinated, and it doesn't surprise me that they want to color coordinate it. However, that's going to be something that's very difficult to maintain throughout the year. So enjoy it now at last. Something else that we've changed, I just didn't love, like I said before, didn't love our greenery storage. It's something that didn't get looked after as much in our other warehouse, and I really wanted something to change when we came here. So we have our greenery wall. Now, more drawers from IKEA here. They're all super smooth open. You've got all your small greenery in here. You've got your succulents and your stems, like it's full of greenery. Then you have the smaller stems and anything that has anything a bit more fragile on it. So your cotton, your gum nuts, all those types of berries in these buckets. Now the idea, not actually illustrated all that well right here, is that they are actually zip locked to the cage fence that we have behind. The cage fence that is behind is from the garden section at Bunnings, and it's designed for tomatoes. So we have 3 here along the wall. And they have special little mounts to be able to mount them to what should be a timber 4x4 post in the garden. We've secured those to the wall so that we can then mount this onto the wall. That's a $30 solution, and it has completely transformed how we store our green, and we love it. So this has been a big changer for us. Obviously, smaller stems up here. We've got bigger buckets for bigger stems. Still making our way through it, but then the idea once this is sorted is that we have some bigger buckets at the bottom there as well for the really, really long green stems that you can get from Albion elm. All right, so that's the styling side of things. I'm going to take you out to the actual warehouse, out of the aircon, to show you, I guess, the bigger bits that we have as far as the stylist goes. All right, so now we have all the fluff. We used to have the fluff in the air-conditioned space at the other warehouse. That's not the case here. But the compromise for us was better storage solutions and the ability to store more. So this is actually preferred over what we had at the other warehouse, even if it means we're a little bit hotter. There is some planning foresight that has gone in here, and then we do have some favourites in this section too. Now, we had this at the other warehouse. We have all the IKEA dimper bags. Although those who use them would know that the new range of the IKEA dimper bags are not as sturdy as they used to be. I am looking into alternate solutions, given that they're $8 per bag. We're not getting the longevity from them that we used to. Now, we actually have them stored. Like you can see, we go all the way to the top. Now, each one of these bags will have a queen and the 2 pillows, or a double doona and the 2 pillows. Everything is here ready to go out to an install. So as the girls sort of transition throughout the year, they'll take things out, then Matt will come through on our big picker and get these things down so that the girls obviously don't have to scale the walls. The highest up they'll go is up this tiny ladder to be able to reach to the top of that. There is no expectation for them to go higher. It's a safety component thing for us, and we don't want that to happen. That's all the linen. Honestly, not much difference to how we used to store it. Where there is a big difference is in the organisation that we've been able to have with the linen that doesn't necessarily go out on site, the linen that is ready to be, I guess, bagged up and ready to go out on site. So all of our new doona covers are now all sorted. So this is, honestly, this is a massive big pile in one big room. Everyone closed the door on it at our warehouse. And that honestly led to a purchasing of unnecessary quilt covers because we didn't know what was in behind that closed door because no one really wanted to go through the big pile. So this is going to have more efficiency with our stock by far. Everything is labelled here. This was a pet project for one of our stylists. She did amazingly. You can see we've got queen, double, single linen. This is all hired out linen spreads. Most of the stuff that's sitting in here is from Adairs or Pillow Talk. So they're sort of the price point of these ones sit a bit higher. If you come up here, we have a little nook under here where we've got all of our pillowcases that match. And at the very end, you have across the top all of our client linen that we purchase. Now, if a client is living in a property, we purchase them their linen. So it's just so much easier for them. It's less washing for us. So that's the way that we operate. So all the client linen across the top. Then in all of these little buckets, all of these little ones here, all beautifully labeled, hand towels and face washes, all color coordinated to make selections really straightforward, easy and fast. Then at the bottom, again, working in with color coordination are our towels. They just get rolled up and put away in the cube cases. As they get unbucketed, or over Christmas we had overflow of stock, that's what's across the bottom. But the idea is that everything fits into these cube cases really nicely and perfectly. Created ourselves a little tunnel, which needs to get tidied up. So we have all of our coverlets in the one spot. This has also been awesome, having everything up and actually visible at a good height. It also looks after the stock a whole lot better. However, during Christmas, this space, as the rest of the warehouse, becomes really, really full. These are very bulky pieces. They're hard to get in, which is why there's an overflow on the ground. This will clear out, I would say, over the next 2-3 weeks, with the aim that during the regular year, it's just confined to these 3 shelves for coverlets. So something that we have in the works at the moment that hasn't actually happened, you can see this is actually a really, whilst huge, it's actually quite dark in these spaces. Now on the underneath, very few power points in our warehouse, and that's something that is changing. So once that is approved and changed, there's strip lighting that's going to be added across the top of all of these bays. So if there's something that I could say I want to be better, and I think the girls would be 100% on board with me, is the lighting in these bays. So that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. Other than that, everything is color coordinated. Again, it doesn't matter how much space you have over Christmas in a warehouse, there is going to be a build-up of certain stock. So you can see we clearly have far too many ivory and white cushions, but they will clear out. So we have black, we've got white and ivory, we've got green, blue, pink. This is a house lover's dream. Everything is all through here. This makes up all the beds. All the throw rugs are color coordinated in here with them as well. So the girls are doing bedroom selections. They can use the carpet. One of Jake's pet projects, actually, when we got the warehouse, we contacted a carpet company, and one of their most cost efficient carpets, we bought several rolls of them. So this entire section for where we have all of our fluff is actually all carpeted, and that's to look after the stock. Gray, blue, pink, teepees, mustard, everything. We then have this section. This section needs a little bit of work, so I'd love to know what everybody's doing in their warehouse. My idea is to get nice big tubs. My inspiration is the sales special at the front of BWS, where they have their clearance stock. It's like an MDF box on wheels, and we can fill it up with everything that sits to about here. And then you have one that sits on a shelf that fills up the opposite way with a flap. So you can use the ground and the top rather than all these plastic buckets. But this works for now. Obviously it's our sheets and our balances. I'd love to know what you're doing in your warehouse. All right, so this would have to be my favorite change in our warehouse. The solution that we used before, it was sufficient for us for 7 years. So it's a good solution. It works really, really well. The difference here is we can fit so much more in. So we've got the pallet rack, the racking of the shelves split into 2 sections with dividers from galvanized poles that's been purchased from Bunnings, and we've simply put a hole in MDF panels that separate the 2. They're really sturdy, it's not going anywhere, and the ability to fit more in between, see everything as you walk, how much it looks after our stock, and the sheer volume of stock that we can actually fit in with our art racking now. I love it. It's been a really, really great incorporation into the warehouse. I love being able to walk down here, although it's actually just like everything else, really full at the moment. Actually, one other thing I'll show you. So actually, we've got small, meter by like 1.2 fits under here. We've kept them oaks and whites on this side. On the other side, you've got black frames and walnuts. Working up to your bigger pieces, 1.3, 1.5. And then we've got our oversized, ginormous pieces down this end. Down this end because they're close to the loading bays for the truck, and you obviously don't want to have to carry this many pieces back and forth. Now, something else that was a changer for us, and I think more out of efficiency wise, we've loved the incorporations of trolleys into our warehouse. Now, the distance from carrying artwork to the loading bay at the old warehouse was good on one side and a bit painful on the other, but never too far. Here, carrying it from the end to the loading bay, or from the unloading bay to the artwork, is actually one of the longest distances that we do in our warehouse. So we had to become more efficient at what we did. Now, when I first started looking at trolleys, some of them can be ridiculously expensive, like looking at $2,500 for a trolley. These ones, they were super easy to assemble. They're really doing what we need. So there's the 3 support on the bottom. We could, if we wanted to, do the pool noodles on these to protect the artwork further. We haven't done that. We haven't found it needs it. And these ones were only like $210. So they've been a game changer for us. We are ordering cages as well for our linen. We just haven't got there yet to do that. So work in progress. We love it. All right, so that is all the styling side of things. We've gone through, I've shown you our component, and I am now gonna hand you over to Jake.
Come with me. All right, so we are standing in one corner of the warehouse right now. I'm at what I would call the front of the warehouse. So the way that we've kind of shaped all of this is that we have a front of the warehouse, which is where we do our loading, and we've got a back corner of the warehouse, which is where we do all of our unloading. There's a bit of a cycle to all of it. So the reason we load at the front, the way we pull furniture, the way we store certain things at the back versus the front, like it all fits into this flow. And I'm gonna start down the back and kind of give you an idea about all of that, why some things go up higher, why some things go at the front versus the back. We're gonna go through all of that. So, all right, so we're standing down in the unloading bay. We have 5 garage doors. These are the 2 at the back corner for our unloading. We've done this, like I mentioned before, for a bit of a cycle. So while we're unloading in the afternoons, we don't want it to be mixed at the same time as we've got a truck trying to load and furniture's kind of getting in the way of each other, or people are getting in the way of each other. So we do all of our unloading here. We then, because if you think about the cycle of furniture, as it comes off a truck, at some point it's going to go back out. So it kind of goes in this direction. It has its spot in the warehouse, which we'll go through in a minute, but then eventually it'll go to the front to go back on the trucks. So there's no kind of walking it to the back of the warehouse and then walking it back to the front of the warehouse. It all kind of goes in this general direction. You also notice down here we've got sofas and we've got mattresses and beds, so some of the bigger things. The reason we do that is, firstly, with mattresses, we don't want to carry the big things further if we can help it. We unload here right where the trucks are, where it's coming off the truck, it goes here. We also have a process where we know what mattresses and beds are needed for the next day. So before we move the trucks up to the spot where we load, we actually grab them from here right away. So the mattresses don't move more than, this, as far as you can see here. Sofas, we put them here because, again, big things, we'd prefer to keep them where we don't have to move them too far. They don't get quite as much traffic down the back, like foot traffic, people going back and forth. We don't have furniture going past them, so they can kind of keep out of the way a little bit. And in behind, we'll see we also have some of our other bigger things. So entertainment units, buffets, dining tables, we keep those all down near the back, so it's off the truck, straight into where they go. Keep it nice and easy. And yeah, let's go and have a bit of a look. This is probably, and again, we're in a phase where we've been here for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. This is our first December period in this warehouse where we have a lot of stock. So we've probably the one area where we didn't allocate enough room while we were going to be this full was dining table. So we still have some in the aisles here. We try and get stuff up. So we've got definitely some space up the top for more. We're at a time now where we've got more going out than in. So we're not using the height right now unless we really need to. How we decide what goes up and what stays on the ground is generally about safety and the weight. So we have a lot of our outdoor tables, which are generally a lot lighter. They're up higher. They're not stacked in a way that they're going to topple or wobble. They're sturdy on their feet, so it's easy to get them up and down. The bigger, heavier tables, the bigger, heavier sofas are all down. We actually have some sofas up high as well, which are the smallest ones that we own. We've got carpet up there to keep them out of the way, keep them clean and everything. Same as things like outdoor settings, the outdoor lounges, dining chairs, those things tend to be a lot lighter, so we can get those up higher without too much problem. We can get a couple of guys on the scissor lift and that works out nice and easy. Entertainment units, buffets, heavy consoles, they all stay down the bottom here. Again, like I said before, they're kind of at the back of the warehouse, like we're just past the unloading bay. they're at a spot where we don't have a lot of foot traffic aside from when we're specifically going to get those things. So it keeps it out of the way but easily accessible, and we don't have to carry the big heavy things too far. One thing that we've always had a little bit of a hard time keeping tidy and finding a great storage method for is the rugs. We've allocated quite a bit of space to the rugs in this warehouse, and even then over Christmas it was quite full and still is in certain ways. We have these shelves, we've got them separated by size, so the small rugs on the top, the big ones down here, and the really big ones down the bottom. And you can see it's still a little bit messy. It's hard to keep tidy at all times when you've got a lot of rugs going and coming back every day. We have a section here that's empty. We're going to tape this up a bit better and label it, but basically we have this returned rug shelf. We do this because we've had times where the rugs get rolled up on site. They might be a little bit dirty, or from foot traffic of being in a house for a while, and the people on site doing the pack up might know it's dirty, put it on the truck and say to themselves or to each other, we're going to clean that when we get back. But when that person isn't the same person who's unloading the truck, sometimes they don't know. And we've had times where rugs go on the shelf, they get pulled for a job the next day, they go back out and we unroll them at an install and they're dirty. And when that happens, we just have to get one in the car, we've got to spend time replacing it. So this shelf is where all rugs that come off the truck, regardless of what, if they're clean or not, all rugs go here. And then it's the warehouse team's job every day to get them out, vacuum them, check them, make sure they're okay. If they need a clean, we flag it and put them somewhere else so that we can get professional cleaner in once a week. He comes in to tidy up rugs that need it. And then once they're clean, they go back on the shelf. So this is working a lot better than it was at the old warehouse when we had less space. In an ideal world, I'd probably give out, if we were to do it again, maybe one more section for the really busy times. But when we get back to kind of normal level of stock in the warehouse, these will be a lot more empty. So we've kind of made our way up towards the front of the warehouse now. What we put at the front intentionally are the lighter things, the things that we don't mind walking from the trucks when they're unloading towards the front. They're also things that are, generally there's more of these things for an install. So if we're picking a job for tomorrow, there might be one sofa, but there could be 3 sets of bedsides. So I don't want to walk down to the back of the warehouse 6 times for the bedsides. I want them all to be closer. So we've got bedsides, bar stools, armchairs, dining chairs, the things where there's multiple of at any given job. They're near the front of the warehouse like this. We also obviously have a lot more of them, so we need the height. So keeping them at the front in one spot makes it a little bit easier to get them up and down when we need to on the scissor lift. So how we organise all of this. That's the warehouse, that's kind of the storage where everything goes. What we do every day is we have, along this back wall, it probably doesn't look particularly tidy or any organisation to it, but it definitely is. We have 10 loading bays, which gives us room to do up to 10 jobs if we need to in a day, which we definitely do some days. We've got the signs up there, we've got the tape, and the way that this works is we have our stock lists at the bench. The guys know what's coming out. They know what jobs have to be prepared for tomorrow, and we allocate each of them a bay. We have that on a whiteboard. We have it for the stylist so that when they do their linen selections, they also put them in the right bay so it all goes in. And the guys basically tick off as they're going. So they've got their lists and the clipboards. They tick off everything as it comes out to say it's in the bay, and then tomorrow morning or this afternoon, depending on what's happening with the trucks, when it gets loaded, they take it out of the bay. We know where to park the trucks. We know what job is going to be loaded at the back corner versus over here, for instance. Like I said, you can see, if the bay is full, that they're ready for tomorrow, and it just kind of keeps the flow of all the furniture coming out, goes into the right spot. The loading is easy. There's no mix-up of furniture. There's no mix-up of bags or art because it's in the right area. All runs smoothly most of the time. So we've made our way, kind of done a big loop of the warehouse. I'm pointing even though you don't get the kind of full scope of it, but Phoebe's gone through the stylist area at one side. We talked about the unloading bays down the back up the front with the loading bays and the loading doors. We have 2 on this side, 2 doors, and a third over there, all along here where we've got the furniture pulled. We have capacity to load 4 trucks at a time quite easily. We get 1 on that side, 2 here, and we bring 1 inside. We actually have room for 5, which we've had to do some days down the back there, but kind of depends on what we need, and we stagger the days. We do our schedule in a way that gives us plenty of time for the loading and not having to walk all over each other. But yeah, the great thing about this warehouse is, like I said, we've got room for loading 4 or 5. We've got room for unloading in the back. We're not stepping on each other's toes because of the way we've done this flow. So there's a cycle of furniture and people. Yeah, we love it. I'm sure we'll improve it over the next year. First, like I said, first Christmas in the warehouse while we've been full. We went through spring here in October when we were very, very busy, and it worked really well. We did improve some things at the time, and we'll keep looking for them, but loving the warehouse, and yeah, happy to be here.